Everyone believes that the old correct score trading strategies, they're the gold standard. But what if there's a new approach that no one's talking about? Nobody except me, potentially. Now, let's be honest. When it comes to football trading, the traditional correct score trading models, the correct strategies, those correct score trading strategies have been effective for years. A lot of them are probably super traders. If you want to be a super trader, comment super trader below and I'll give you my framework for free. But being totally honest, I've never personally benefited from correct score. But is that all about to change? Because I think as we enter 2024, there's a hint of change in the air. I think there's a new way to trade the correct score market. It's really, really exciting. It's a clearer, easier, faster, and maybe just maybe, a more dependable one. I'm introducing a completely revamped approach to correct score trading that could redefine how we trade in 2024. Interesting. Now, looking back, I think I know where the old approach to this failed for me. Now, recently a member asked a question in the forum about using the stat software, and they wanted to trade the correct score. And helping them out, I played around with the software to see what I came across and what I could build for them, what filters I could build, and what I stumbled across. Boy, that hit me like a punch in the face. I sat up and took notice. You see, while the traditional methods, the old school ones, have their merits, they also have those hidden pitfalls. Traders are left guessing, when to get in and get out. You're never really knowing how the hell you can maximise your profits or what score lines to cover. Which leads me to, drum roll please, the 2024 correct score trading strategy. A method that's adaptive and dynamic and tailored to the trader of 2024 who doesn't have loads of time, because that's what we're all there. You might be thinking, oh God, Ryan, not another strategy. Why fix what isn't broken? This isn't about fixing, it's about advancing and staying ahead of the curve. But I've also found that we have to stay ahead of the curve. We have to push the boundaries, which is exactly what we're doing at Betfair Trading Community. And I wanted to share this with you because I know what's going to happen. I know some of you are going to pick this apart, you're going to make it better, and you're going to run with it, which is what this channel is all about. We are a community of traders. I also have a really cool super trader framework that if you run this strategy through, I think you're going to turn it into an absolute powerhouse. This might be your go-to one. So if you want the framework that's turned more traders into super traders than anybody else, comment the word super trader below and I'll get you a free copy of it. So how can we implement this strategy then? What I'm going to do now is we're going to dive into the computer. I'm going to talk you through it, how I found it, how I would trade it, and then let your imaginations run wild with you. So now I've jumped into my computer. We're going to look at the Betfair Trading Community stats. So as I said, this was born out of an idea of one of the members saying, that they do the Dutching of the correct score market and that they did various different scores, 0-0, 1-0, 0-1 and 1-1. And they were struggling with something with the software. So what I did was created a little video and built this together for them. And it really was interesting because what I did was I did the initial criteria here where I put the over full-time 0-0 and I added it to the 1-0, the 0-1 and the 1-1. And then that gave us a combined score. Okay, so this was my idea for what a lot of people did with the old correct score, that they would look at those scores, they would Dutch those scores, then they would they'd trade out after a goal and they'd take their profit. So just looking at that, for example, you can see that the figures are actually just quite low. So there's one here that's 70%, and I'm recording this on the 19th of October. So you can see this Cruzio versus Flamenco game. We've got a 70% chance full time of it being one of those scores. Interesting. So what I decided to do was add another layer onto that. And the layer that I added was, well, actually, what is the half time? The scores at half time. Okay, because I prefer to then think about, okay, well, we're getting in at the start of the match. Okay, well, we actually want to get out at half-time. So then you look at the same stat, 0-0 at half-time, 1-0 at half-time, 0-1 at half-time, and 1-1 at half-time. The same match has a 95% chance of being one of those at half-time, which is pretty flipping staggering, especially when we look at the correct score odds. So the 0-0 is 9.8, the 0-1 is 8.0, the 1-0 is 11, and the 1-1 is 7. So that's all pretty good numbers to be Dutching. So then I decided to break down and add 2 extra criterias onto this. So I've now got the overall half one over 1.5 goals stat, and then the over 2.5 goals stat, okay, for over 1.5. Because what a lot of people struggle with, that I found with correct score, myself included, is when do you actually get out? Like, it's all well and good covering those scores, but I need to know if there's going to be another goal in this match. I know that the 1 goal is pretty high because I can see it here, but do I get out after that goal? Do I stay in? I don't know. So by adding this stat, it actually tells me what you should do after you've Dutched this. So for example, my idea with this Crucio Flamenco would be to back those scores from the start of the match, and then if there is the 1 goal at half time, I would aim to be out if it was still 0-0 at half time. If there was a goal in the first half, I would get out, because this tells me here that there is a 1.5% chance of it in the first half being 20% or 30% in the second half, which isn't really good enough for me. So that's what it tells me to do. That's why I've built this the way I've built this, because now I have a plan. If this figure is low, as in over 1.5 goals is low, then it tells me just to get out after the 1 goal. Now, there's a few things that I can also do by having the BTC stats. I can also double check this, because I've done this with the overall numbers. But what happens if I wanted to double check it with the head-to-head? So you can see here the head-to-head between these two is actually very, very high. Now, another thing I can do as well is I can go to the overs and the unders, and I can check the over 0.5 goals as well. So I can see here the head-to-head between these two teams, not against each other. Now, this is pretty interesting as a way to trade it. Before, I'd never have any of this data, and I wouldn't know when to get in and when to get out. And a lot of the times people would say to me, you know, just trade out. But now I actually know, and I can make a decision on this. So I can actually enter throughout the start of the first half, like literally at kickoff. I know that there's a very high chance that one of my scores is going to be taken, so I know how to play it. If it's 0-0 at half time, I'll get out and I'll take a profit, hedged across all of the outcomes. If there's a goal, then great, I'll get out and I'll hedge. So this is how that this is so much more easier and more clearer to trade, and way more dependable just by using stats. You know, you can see some of these really high figures now. There's a 95% chance that there's going to be that scoreline by half time in this Atletico MG game. Now, what you could also do if you wanted is you could actually start to break out the high percentage of those scores. So you could actually put more weight on the 0-0. Okay, so you could look at the odds here. You've got 0-0 9.4, so you could actually put more onto that one, and then put less onto the 0-1 because it's 13, it's higher odds. 6.6 could have a little bit more on it, and then the 1.1 could have somewhere in between your staking for that. So you could progressively stake across this based on the percentages that it's telling you, because you're checking here 35% chance of 0-0. That's the highest likelihood of the score. So you could put the highest amount here. You could even put 35% of your stake on if you wanted. 25% here, 20% there, and 15% to match what you think the chances are. The options are endless with this. I just really wanted to show you how powerful stats can be with just one simple idea. So one person was struggling to Dutch those score lines, 0-0, 1-0, and 0-1 and 1-1. And I took that idea and just added a few little bits onto it. And that was how easy it was to find these. Now, what all I'm going to do is just show you how I built that. I just went into select stat, then I went overall, and then I went percentage, and then I put in HT, and then I just clicked those ones there, okay? And then I went greater than equal to 0. I did the same for the overall H1, first half, over 1.5, greater than equal to 0. Did the same for the full time, and then the same there for the second half, H2. I left everything else the same, last 10 matches, and all I did was click apply. Now you're going to see how fast it's going to take to actually get you these selections. Are you ready? Click apply, boom, it's there, done. Less than, 10 seconds? That gets you your selections. That's how powerful this could be. You can see straight away on the screen, you've got a lot over 80, a lot over 90, a lot over 90, 90, 85, 80, 95. These are absolutely, this is a really, really exciting thing to look at, if you ask me. These are very, very high percentages with very, very good odds on their on the correct score. I think that we're on the brink of a trading revolution, and I'm excited to lead the charge. One where we backtest ideas, we automate the trades, or we just build simple strategies that we can trade from our phones or from anywhere we want to be. So I want to invite you now to join me to embrace this change, and let's redefine Betfair trading in 2024. Let's see if we can do that together. Come and join me and join the charge. All you need to do is hit subscribe on this channel.